Ooh, I like. All right, we're keeping that. That's your intro from now on right there. All right. What's up, everybody? We got Pat.
Howdy,
We got a man named Vinny right here.
as he's called.
Myself, Dawson. We are on. This is the DDOG Pickleball podcast. We are rolling live from Lifetime. Um, yeah, let's get into it. So first off, Vinny, tell us a little bit about your trip.
Yeah, I just got back from San Clemente from the PPA I guess event. Crazy trip, man. I mean, I honestly bought my ticket 2 days before, which I don't recommend.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, tickets were like $600, $700
Holy
at the cheapest, and that's like you're flying Spirit. I was like, oh my god.
You made it though, right?
I made
Did you fly Spirit?
I did not fly Spirit. I was like, all right, if I'm gonna spend this much money, might as well get a nicer flight, you know. But it ended up working out because I had some like credit from like a previous trip. So it worked out pretty well. But yeah, dude, PPA events totally worth going at least once in your life. I've heard that San Clemente was the nicest one. That was my first one, so like the bar set really high. But dude, like to be so close to these pros and to see the level of play, there's nothing like it. I highly recommend it. Yeah, it was really fun to go out there and see these pros, meet the community, and just play. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to add it here in the pod, but there is a nice clip where the announcers mention our friend Vinny during one of the points in a singles match with Zane and Tyler, right? Yeah. Zane and Tyler.
He's having
Got a
some
fan
fun.
base behind his bench, chirping them too.
Some guy named Vinny.
I was just gonna say, a man named Vinny.
6'2".
Tyler.
I think that they had a bet going on for whoever won that game would have like a 2 minute, they both had podcasts. So whoever won that game would have like a 2 minute segment on the other person's podcast. So Zane won. So yeah.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome.
It's more awesome the way in which they said it for you. Like that made my day right there. As someone that was watching it live, so I was like, wow.
It was funny because I got a couple of messages and people would be like, dude, you're on screen right now. And they're like, dude, they just called your name. I'm like, yo, what? And then someone sent me the recording afterwards. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But no, it was more so just like to cheer on our friend Zane Navratil. He's the man. But yeah, honestly, it was a really fun game to watch. And he did his spin serve. It didn't go in, but it was cool.
I did see that as well. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So dude, you met like a ton of pros. I saw a picture with you with Anna Lee. Like, how was that?
It was pretty wild, dude. I mean, to me, I feel like they're like actual celebrities, I guess.
I'd agree.
And like to see them, it's one thing to see them online, but to see them in person, and you're like, holy crap, that's like that person right there. For me, I was like, you know what, this is my one time shot to like see these people. I'm gonna go up to them and at least ask for a picture or at least say hi, because you have to, you know what I mean. You definitely miss the shots you don't take, so it's worth going up to say hi. And everyone was really nice. I didn't meet anyone who I thought was like a jerk or anything like that, so thank God. But yeah, it was really cool to have these pros like right up in front of you. And sometimes you could also like stand right next to them and like it just be weird to start a conversation, but
But you did.
But I did, yeah.
Because you're a weird guy. But we love you. Weird in a good way. Weird in a good way.
Absolutely, yeah. That's hilarious.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's just a regular guy.
Yes, he is.
He's just a regular guy.
That's awesome.
For now.
Moving it along here. So we are going to talk a little bit about just kind of that trip some more, what you've been up to. You did just recently sign with Valair.
I did.
I would like to hear more about that. I'm curious. So
Yeah, I recently signed with Team Valair about it's like 2-3 weeks ago now. But the team is honestly like amazing. Shout out to Ryan and Layla. Thanks for having me on board. And honestly, like they are super supportive of anything that I want to do. So, for example, I'm actually gonna go to Asia in a couple weeks, and I'm planning on doing a Valair tournament. And I basically asked them like, hey, can I get some like a banner and some like paddles to do like a giveaway like for the tournament winners that we're gonna do? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Like, tell me what you need. And that's all she wrote. But yeah, no, I mean, Valair I think for me has always been like stuff that I've seen online. I think their videos are hilarious. That's where my first exposure with them was. And I think that, in terms of their paddle, I think that, when I first started playing pickleball, it seemed like everyone had Volaris. And then I think there was like a 2-3 year period where like everyone went to other paddle companies. But I think they're releasing some heat now. Be prepared for the next iteration of their paddles. It's like a Gen 3 paddle. And I've been using one and it's been sick.
Awesome. Yeah, Pat and I are looking forward to those once you get extras of those to test those out. I will touch on this quick for the paddle segment, which we're doing a little bit, but Vinny, just due to his contract, he is going to sit out for that bit there. But just
only.
Well, he is Volair only. Pat and I, we are whatever the sunshine. We are unbiased, whatever the sun shines on. But I did want to toss that in there real quick. But yeah, I think that's awesome. I completely agree with you. I think what was it? It was the Mach 2 Forza. I had that thing for like a good 6 to 8 months, and I loved that thing. And then time just continued. That's what happened. And unfortunately, like a month in pickleball is like a year is the joke, but it really is, like, depending on the month. But yeah, I think that's really cool.
It will be interesting to see, like, the development of pickleball technology is just so wild to me. Like, the fact that it went from basically a wind paddle to Gen 1, Gen 2, and then Gen 3, and then Gen 4. Dude, like, companies are just finding different ways to innovate, and which is so exciting to see. In a way, though, paddles might be getting too hot.
Yeah, that is something we can touch on right now.
You guys have been playing for a while, so you guys seen it from like the very beginning until now.
Pat's like the super OG. Cat's got me by a few years, but I'm in year 6 right now. I was like the end of 2018, beginning of 2019 was when I started.
That's still pretty wild, dude. I feel like if you played before COVID, you're like an OG. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I you know what? What do you think about that, Pat?
I would think so. It seems like when I talk to people, that's mostly the response is if they've been playing for a while, it's I got started in COVID. So, or people, when I tell them I've been playing as long as they're like, I had no idea that it's been around that long. Some people think that it started around COVID. So usually I'll throw in the little history lesson like 1965, Bainbridge, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think just to the point, and I know this has been discussed a lot with like some other podcasts, other stuff like that. But like, I know it is an issue with how hot some of these paddles are getting. And I think it starts, bringing the question of like, should I be wearing eyewear? Right. Because I don't think that was ever really that much of a thing. And now it's way more of a thing. So, I mean, is it going to get to a point where it's just like too much?
So sorry, Vinny. Back in the day, the only people that wore eyewear were the former racquetball players.
Yes,
and that's how you knew. Yes. That's how you knew they used to play racquetball.
Maybe a glove too.
And they had a leather glove usually, and they had the craziest overhead you have ever seen. Like it didn't come back. Like it was that like fly swatter, like NBA, like downward motion kinda. And it just was insane. And they could also jump crazy high.
Yeah, and imagine them with like a Gen 3, Gen 4.
Exactly.
They'd be putting holes in the court.
I think a lot of those now, it's like I wear eyewear normally now. I have been for about a year, a little over a year. I couldn't play without it. To be honest, I feels weird to me. Like, and I don't wear glasses normally. I have perfectly good vision. Like... So I will say something that I know Kitchen Blockers as a brand is doing is eyewear without the lenses. But
I've seen that, yeah.
It's like deep enough that it'll block a ball if they were to hit you.
Yep.
Dude, I saw Juan Sean wear those, and he looked like Batman.
That's not a bad thing, right? Like, let's just put that out there.
It's not a bad thing.
He's hilarious, by the way.
He's hilarious.
You got me into some of his content, and like he is downright hilarious. So shout out,
he's really fun. Juan Sean.
Yeah,
no, he's hilarious. No, but I it's funny that we're talking about eyewear because recently I was in Austin 2 weeks ago, and I was playing against Paul Lee, Ilop, and then backhand driver Kenny, and I got during that 2-hour session I got hit in the eyes twice, one on each eye, and I was like, whoa, like crazy, dude.
So, but you wear a hat normally, at least. Right?
I normally wear a hat, so so after that happened, I was like, dude, like maybe I should start wearing eyewear.
Yeah.
Which before I used to clown on people wearing eyewear. Yeah. No. This is like it's not a look that I like, and it's also I feel like it's very hard to play when you're sweating and like it gets fogs up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after that happened, I literally was like, dude, like the first one hurt really bad. The second one was like, all right. But I was like, dude, maybe I should invest in some eyewear.
So I will say, like, you're not wrong about the fogging up thing. I think I did a segment where I tried 20 different pairs of eyewear.
Wow.
A lot of them were like Amazon $10 eyewear though, because to get $20 pairs of 20 pairs of eyewear is
Not cheap.
kind of tricky. It's not cheap.
Yeah, it adds up.
So, but I did try some legit pickleball ones. I have one I use now. I've sworn by. I have two of them. I have an indoor pair and I have an outdoor pair. The outdoor is photochromatic, which is kind of cool. So when it gets brighter out, they get darker.
Yeah.
When it's not bright out, they stay clear. And then the indoor pair is just a clear, which is what I prefer indoors because the photo, it gets weird with lighting inside. Like I don't want it darker inside per se. And that's what works for me. But I know some people, I'll shout him out quick. Cam Daly, he was doing this 2 years ago before kitchen blockers and all that was a thing.
He had them 9 years ago when I was playing against him.
Lenses out on like a $10 pair like sports sunglasses, and he was wearing them. He's like, "Yeah, it's eye protection. The ball doesn't fit in it." I was like, "That's kind of ingenious."
Yeah.
So
That's actually hilarious.
you know, people do all sorts of things. I'll tell you this though, I go to the courts and I see at least one pair of eyewear now.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yep.
you know, attesting to even probably 3 years ago, that wasn't a thing. So I do think paddles have gotten hotter. I do think with PB Core and testing and having been able to see some of the testing side of it on my own side, just being, you know, a paddle reviewer, we're starting to hit the limit.
Yeah.
Is what it seems like. And, you know, to avoid kind of paddle names right now, there are certain paddles that pretty much are the limit and that are being used as the marker right now, in my opinion.
Yep.
And from what I've seen. So I think that definitely helps in regards to that. I do still think it's going to be a lot hotter than your Gen 1, Gen 2 paddle. And which is funny because, you know, I was just talking about off air with Pat with this is I still choose to play with one of the older paddles, like tech wise. Like it's just what I prefer. It's what I've been used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of my pickleball playing career. I hit the new ones all the time. Like literally all the time.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting touch there. But we'll move on anyways. I do want to touch on, not to steal a spotlight completely from you guys here. I do want to touch on, so I've played 2 tournaments now in 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Which is kind of cool. So the first one was a charity tournament in Waltham at a Lowell Playground. It's either Lowell Playground or Lowell Field. I always mix it up. And it was for veterans. And this is something I'm big about with the tournaments is if there's no cash or like prize money on it, I want it to be for a good cause. Because otherwise, like there's tons of corporations you can spend $170 to $100 for a tournament on. Like I would rather put that towards charity and then go as well and play and still have that same experience. It's not that there's anything wrong with the corporations. It's just more of doing it for the right cause, in my opinion.
You're a good guy, man.
I try to be. I don't know if I am, but I do try to be. In all seriousness, though, so this was a launch for veterans in Waltham. It was on tournaments, pickleball tournaments, all that. Went into Duper, which was awesome. I do appreciate that. It was my first tournament in a year, and my normal partner, Justin, wasn't able to do it. Not super last minute, but like a few weeks leading up to it. So I asked a guy that I play with him pretty much every Tuesday. He's in a ton of my paddle review videos and the B-roll. Dan Willett, super nice guy. Really good player. I know he's doing some like senior pro quali stuff. He's playing a lot of local 4-5-5-0 stuff. He usually just does the 50 plus. Yeah. So I'm kind of asking him to go and play with the young guys too. So it's a tricky dynamic there. But you know, he did it awesome. It was a ton of fun. We ended up going 3-3, but we were supposed to have like 7 teams in our pool, but it rained the Saturday we were supposed to play and the Sunday was Father's Day. So we ended up having 3 teams.
Guaranteed medal.
Yeah. So it is a guaranteed medal, but the color of medal, it depends.
Yes.
So that's where the kicker is. No, but everyone realized that. They were good sports about it. Everyone was cool peeps of the 3 teams that were there. So that helps. Cause like if some of them were like, well, what's the point of playing and didn't show up, like we wouldn't have even been able to go.
Yep.
So it was fun. So what they did, they had us play. So there's only 2 other teams and us. So they had us play those 2 teams each twice. So we played 4 games. We lost to this team twice, which was the team that eventually won it all. The first time we played them, and pickleball is getting more like this, but they just had drives and drive and crash like nothing I have ever seen. It was just insane. The shake and bake, but when I say borderline Burt shake and bake, even we tried that. We tried lobbing over them, all this, they just got everything back. They did not miss many balls. I'll put it like that. And we ended up getting blanked 11-0 the first game.
Jeez.
But then we played the other team close. We beat them 11-8. Then we played these guys again, and we kind of knew what was going to happen then going into it, so we were a little more prepared. And I do think it took a game to just get used to how hard they were hitting the ball. And I give them credit too because they were doing it with Gen 1 paddles, so that was even cooler. So we played them super close. We ended up losing 11-6 or 11-7. Then we played this other team again, which we kind of routinely got an 11-5 on. That time our score was better, or an 11-6. Sorry, it was 2 weeks ago, guys. The scores are a little hazy. But so we get to the medal round. So we're the 2nd seed, so we have to play the 3rd seed because it's only 3 teams. So we beat them. Then we get to the final, and we get the shake and bake team again. And we had a close final, but even with the timeout, they just reel off 4, 6, 8 points.
Yeah, quick points too, right?
They're quick points. Yeah. It was cold out. So for the summer, it was cold out. It was probably 65. It was gorgeous, but compared to what it is now. But yeah. So we finished 2nd, which was cool. And then I just played a tournament this past weekend in New Hampshire, which was awesome. Also for charity. It was a first time one. It was called the Friendly Kitchen. I don't know in the depths of the charity. I'd have to look it up, which further. Well, it's a brand new tournament. So they've never hosted prior at this site. It was a cool site.
Yeah, great facility, right?
Yeah, it was
I saw the pictures.
It was 10 courts.
Yeah. New Hampshire?
Yeah, New Hampshire. It was I think it was Peacock, something like that, or Peacock, something like
There's
that.
A Peacock,
yeah.
New Hampshire.
Peacock, New Hampshire. I had never been to this area prior. I've been to New Hampshire. Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
But so prior to that, so we play 10-team pool, so complete opposite from the
not guaranteed medal.
Not a guaranteed medal there.
Damn it.
And so the format they decide is we play everyone once in a game to 11, win by 2.
So we played in your pool or 9 teams?
Is one massive pool. So we played 9 games.
Wow.
So it was a long day.
Yeah. So was it how was the playoffs like?
No playoff.
Oh,
so
just
round.
straight.
So you gotta come ready to rumble at 8 a.m.
I don't know if I like that. That format to me has always been really
depends.
It depends.
Think it go both ways. Sometimes if you can just play great and win it all, sometimes you play great, get to the playoffs, and then crap out. So I've seen it both ways,
I think I've been biased because the tournaments that I have won, me and my partner, we usually play like shit.
Yeah, and then make to the playoffs and then dominate.
Yeah, we make it to the playoffs as the last seed.
You're a pressure guy.
Yeah, I think once it's on the line and you get a couple games warmed up, when it's playoffs time, we end up just winning out. I was like, dude,
so
how do we do that? And but
that's so funny.
But the ones, I feel like the ones where you go round robin and that's your record is the.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah,
it's what it is. I don't know how I feel about that.
So I'll say this. I think if we had lost the first few games early, we wouldn't have been loving it.
Yeah.
We had a pretty strong.
Depends on how you do, right?
We started 4-0, something like that.
That's strong.
Then
that's good.
We lost to the team that eventually ended up winning gold 11-7. Again, it's only one game.
Yeah, you only get one look.
We were up on them at one point. Then they came back. We took a timeout. Then we came back. We got to a close point in the game. There was a tough call. And then that was the game.
You should have called it out.
Always tough calls.
Well, it wasn't us calling it, but it was them calling it in this scenario.
That's always the thing.
You know what? Here's the thing. They were up, 9 or 10-7. So, it's also, you could be said, you can do other things to avoid the scenario in general.
That's
so, I don't really mind that. It's just more frustrating in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty generous line guy.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially in tournaments, if I see it's out and I think it's out, I'm immediately gonna call it and then have my partner kind of chime in after.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough,
back you up with the why.
Because generally speaking, like when I see the balls out, like I'll generally am pretty good about that. Like I'm not trying to seek points for like.
It's not a team dishonest effort.
Yeah, it's not like a BS call. It's not a BS call. I like to play honest. If a ball is out, it's out. Like for me.
Yeah.
And usually when it's like when I call it, it's usually pretty obvious that my like teammates can see it. Also
That's always the joke, right? Sometimes playing in rec play, it's like that's a tournament. I'm calling that out. You know what I mean? That's always the joke. So
Well, tournament out.
exactly.
There you go. But yeah, so we played these guys. They're super cool guys. I actually exchanged info with one of them after because he comes to Mass sometimes for games. I'm gonna get some games with him at some point before I
One of the guys that
go
won
on my
it.
trips. Yeah, one of the guys that won it. He was super cool. He's playing the Bossy World Pickleball Tour event later.
Yeah, somebody
in the
mentioned
summer.
it the other day.
So like we'll see him again. But so we were then 4-1, and we ended up finishing out 8-1, which is pretty good record.
Really good actually.
So we finished in silver. The only other super close game we had was with the bronze medal team that we ended up going down 9-0. And then we came back and won 11-9.
That's
and we
gotta
only
be
had one
frustrating
timeout.
for them.
We only had one timeout, which I still tell Justin to this day that he was a genius for doing this. He called it at 4-0 because we went down 4 points quick early.
Yeah.
And normally I'd be like, okay, there's a side switch at 6. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But the momentum stop, even though we didn't score, but just to get the ball back before 6, I think helped us because it helped us enough time to figure the team out and solve them. And they were they were a strong drive team, but like we figured it out. We were able to handle it. And so Justin and I were able to come back in that one 11-9. And I remember thinking after that game, I was like, holy shit. I mean, holy crap. Like,
yeah, Vinny
we just came back. Yeah, my bad. We just came back like 11 points.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It's pretty crazy, actually.
Did they call a timeout on the opposite side?
So they called it at, I think, 4-5. At 4-5-9, but it was 5. It was 1, and I was serving. I think it was 4-9-1 because I remember putting.
So you were going on a little run.
Yeah, we went on a little run. They called it after for like 4 or 5 points.
Yeah.
I remember putting the paddle down and saying like, "Okay, guys," and then saying the score because that's what you used to have to do back in the day.
Yep.
Back when if you got the score wrong, you lost.
I used to just say it out loud right before we leave the court. Just
that's what I did.
4-9,
That's what I did. I put the paddle down and said it. Yeah, back in the day, they used to be weird about that stuff.
Back in the day.
They're actually a lot more lenient about it now. The refs will even like correct you. I didn't have refs at this because it's a charity event.
Yep.
But normally, if you have a ref, they'll always correct you. They'll always know the score. They'll always know where.
You could always ask them too.
You're allowed to ask them. Back in the day, it was a penalty to ask.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Really?
It's changed.
Yeah.
That's
it was.
big.
The USAP referee handbook and guidelines have changed a lot in the past probably 3 years. I'd say a lot. If you actually are nerdy enough to read the whole thing,
No one's reading that.
I'm not.
No one's
and I
reading that.
should too. People ask me questions, and I'm like,
so
No one's reading that shit.
I read it for when
Dawson's reading it.
Like I read it.
Vinny.
Vinny, I got to read all the paddle specs and all that anyways.
That's true.
Nerdy as is. So, I don't read the whole
I
thing.
respect you for it, man. I know.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, someone has to do it.
I read the rules that I feel are the most important.
Yeah.
And it's usually the ones that end up with controversies.
Yes.
So I still think, and I don't want to go into it. It has been hashed a ton. I know Zane Naverdale is a huge proponent of changes in this, but I still think the serve rule is super controversial. I do still think that's an issue, but I think it's getting better. And I also think that people are just more like, okay, we know what a legal serve looks like. We know what you trying to play tennis up here looks like.
Yeah.
So,
but
outside of that, so we finished 8-1. We started with only 2 courts because this being a first time tournament, they ran every single draw at the same time on Gender Day, which is usually the biggest day at a tournament because it's men's and women's.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the smartest move, but
learning experience, hopefully.
Yeah. But you know what? I give them credit as someone that's been a TD. They were done, they're done by 2.
And what time did it start?
8. I mean,
but for 10 teams,
10 teams, and you're all playing each other once. So we finished at 1:30, which is
it's bad. It's not bad.
It was about I think we technically first ball was hit at 8:30. Because they do the spiel beforehand, all that, like the good luck.
What about the national anthem? They used to do it at the Lakes Region tournament.
Did they really?
Yeah, yeah.
I never. So that was
Yeah.
one of the few.
I don't know why Vinny's laughing.
Did you do
but
the
a-
Connecticut? You did Connecticut?
I did a
regional?
couple, not read. I used to do like I think like Connecticut Masters. There was a bunch I used to do. I don't
Yep.
remember what they were all called, but
So Masters now is 50 plus. So
Okay.
you can't. We could do that back in the
getting
day.
there,
Now
but-
it's yeah, I just
Closer
need
than
a
you
few more
guys.
years. You
Yeah.
know. But yeah. So now the only ones that do the anthem are. There's one in Connecticut that does it still, and then anything regional or national has to
Okay.
do it. Because
Okay, I didn't know they
it,
had to. I thought it was just the guy that did the
well,
Lakes Region one, but
it's the same thing with the schools now. Like they don't even always do the anthem in the schools,
I didn't
which
even
is
know
a
that.
whole different.
Don't get me going.
Zone, but the flag is there though. Still, I'll
Okay.
give you that. The flag is in the school building. still.
Pickleball is America.
Okay.
I don't know about that statement, but okay.
He's
That's
going to
nothing-
Asia, by the way, to
Asia
do a
for
tournament.
Pickleball
So
and
sign up.
pickleball is very worldwide, to be clear.
Yes.
But America does have a lot
Where it
of
started.
infrastructure.
Where it started.
And it's where it began, which
A lot
most
of courts
sports-
here.
Most sports didn't begin in America.
Yep.
So I actually
Sure.
do think that's kind of cool in that regard. But anyways, to wrap up the tournament piece here, look, it was a ton of fun. It was a great record. Unfortunately, I actually don't even know if this one's going to go into Duper, which kind of stinks because
Oh.
Yeah.
the 3-3 really hurt my Duper because I had no results for a year. So I went
Yeah.
from like an almost like 4-6 to like a 4-3.
That's quite a drop.
But
That's a drop,
that's a
dude.
0.3 drop.
Yeah.
I think it actually
Massive.
might even
That's actually huge.
it might have gone down a little more even because it takes a little time to actualize.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see if the 8-1 goes in where I'm at.
Did you
and-
sign up on Pickleball brackets or?
Yeah, they're all through tournaments. They're all sanctioned tournaments, all that. It's just for some of them, they don't say always if they're going into Duper or not, which I don't really care about Duper, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I haven't cared about it in years. The only time I care about it is if it's required for a tournament entry, and that's it. Like I usually go off of how I'm playing, who I'm playing with, and the scenario that I'm in for level. I've been playing 4 or 5 tournaments for about 2.5 years now. I feel like I'm at that level. I'm not really super worried about this. This was 40245, and we did pretty well. The other one was basically a 4-5 tournament, and the team that won it, the Dupers are pretty much 5-0.
Yeah. And they were like
So-
D1 tennis guys, you said
yeah,
too, right?
One of them was a former Division I tennis player.
That helps.
To give it was probably
A couple of years ago.
some years ago, but
It's like riding a
was
bike,
still, he was still very good and very
Yeah.
athletic.
Hmm.
So, and he'd been playing with this guy for quite some time. They just hadn't played any tournaments. So, you know, it was 2 different partners, 2 weekends. I had a ton of fun with it. It was nice to play tournaments again. You know,
Yeah.
being all of us also being on the coaching side, I do think it helps you as a coach too, because I think you see not only what you need to work on, but what your clients are going through
Mhm.
and what their goals and focuses are. And like, I'm gonna be honest, dude. I was watching the 3-5 draw. 3-5 is freaking good
Yeah.
right now. Like,
I believe it.
dude, they were hitting like ATPs and
No way. Are you
earnings.
serious?
I'm
No
not even
way.
kidding. I'm
No
not
way.
kidding. I watched a point and the guy freaking Ernie Winard, the coolest Ernie I've seen. at
Sandbagging.
5 hit.
Yeah, it's probably sandbagging.
That's what I
That's-
used to do. I
That's,
used to hang in the
God.
3-5 so I could Ernie all over the place.
that's what I thought. And then they told me they're like, "Oh yeah, that guy got 4th place." I was like, "What?" Like,
I feel like earning and like ATPs are like a 4.0 skill
it's
ish.
a 4.0 plus shot.
Yeah.
Usually, at least back in the day, that was like an ATP was like borderline unreturnable.
I've seen,
Okay.
I've
Like-
done it, and I've had some people not even. They were like, "That ball was out," and I had to explain to them.
Yeah,
no,
that,
you're
like,
allowed to
around.
go, and they were like, "What?"
So that was pretty crazy. So it could be sandbagging. I don't know. Here's the thing though, it's a charity event, my guy. So like,
That's the best time to sandbag.
If you're sandbagging,
Sandbag for a good cause if you're going to do it.
Stand back for a good cause.
Yes, you heard it
That's
here.
amazing.
If you're sandbagging for charity,
Then I
you need to
hats
read-
off to you.
you need to reevaluate some things in pickleball. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's incredible.
But no, look, it was a fun time.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I'll tell you though, it was the start of the heat wave Saturday.
Yeah.
So I appreciated the 8 a.m. start,
Nice.
but by 10, I had already done a shirt change. By the end of it, I'd done 2 shirt changes, like almost a full outfit change. I was like, this is not the type of weather to play pickleball in. Like, this is It was pushing it. I felt bad for the people that had to play mixed Sunday because it was a high of 100. I was like, look, I don't even want to.
But you know,
Yeah.
crazy thing is that like that's a normal day in Florida or
Yeah.
Arizona. You know what I mean? Like the fact that that's like
They're
your normal.
conditioned to it, I think.
Humidity difference and
That too.
conditioning.
That's
though.
true.
That too.
We're conditioned to like snow and like
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not built for that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
built for that.
I love the heat though. Like I used to live in Florida for like a year and a half. I
Yeah.
loved it. Like I'm all for it. I got to get used to it though. Like,
Yeah,
you can't
it takes
just throw-
time.
You can't throw it at me on a competition weekend, and I haven't been in above like 70 degrees prior
Yeah.
to that.
Because I played in Florida before, and it's a completely like different game, man. Like after like 2-3 rallies, you're just like tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on though. We're gonna go. I'm actually gonna mix up our process here a little. We are going to go into paddle of the weeks and mains of the week. Vinny, you can stay for this.
Yeah, I'll stay.
Yay.
Spoil alert, his is going to be a Volair paddle, but I will let Pat start with this. So Pat has been doing a lot of testing for me, especially since I'm going away tomorrow for a little bit. So just talk about, what's the main currently, Pat?
Yeah, so the last few days, and again, like I said on the last episode, I'm pretty much every day is a new paddle for me at this point. So I'm in the process of, Dawson just threw a couple more my way. So I'm going to be making a switch, but last couple days I've been using the Pickleball Apes Pulse S.
Oh, ooh.
Great look. I love the little logo they got on there. Just great feel. I loved the Aramid weave. Is that how I say it?
Yep.
Aramid weave. The Kevlar, I felt like it was, it was like gripping the ball pretty well. But overall, I just enjoyed it. I liked the shape. I thought like drives, drops, everything was pretty much where I wanted it to be. I didn't feel like it was, bouncing off the paddle, like some of the other ones that I had used recently. Not that that's a bad thing, but overall, I enjoyed it thoroughly. So, I think that's a good paddle, and I know, they're always doing new stuff over there. So I think that's like a good company just to keep your eye out moving forward because they're making good stuff.
On a side note, I did just get an email on my way in about some new stuff from Apes. So I can't speak to what it is, but I am very excited.
And I'm sure it's
I
good.
was about to say, I can attest that paddle that Pat is hitting. It's a fun paddle.
Yeah.
So I would definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, Vinny, you're up.
Yeah, I've been using the new Volair Gen 3 V2. Yeah, basically I was switching over from a Proton to it, and honestly, awesome paddle, man. Like it's so easy to generate spin on it and get to really shape your shots. I think for me, it was also really it gives me a good touch at the net and it's really relatively quick. Yeah, overall, I think the Volair is stepping up their paddle game, which is fun to see. And for the crazy thing is that it's unreleased as of right now. I think they just opened it up to like ambassadors, so that's a sneak peek. And then I think they're gonna release it to the masses in the next like 2 months or so. Nice. And then in August and September, they're releasing Dylan Frazier's like signature paddle for Volair. So that's gonna be a crazy paddle. Like I can already tell. They've been doing a ton of testing on it, and I think the caveat for that paddle is that they designed it so that any players without like a tennis background or like a racket background can use it. So that's gonna be really interesting to see how they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that and mess around with your stuff for sure.
Absolutely. You can always mess around with my stuff.
I was about to say, I am very excited to see that side of Volair as well. Yeah. And yeah, so I'll go into mine. So I have been testing some stuff as Pat has as well. I am currently sticking with the Bread and Butter Invader. I don't know what to say. Just that Gen 2 feeling and the PET titanium face feeling is just where it's at for me. I just like a softer paddle in that regard, but it's still got some firepower to it, and that's where I'm at. That's what I played both these tournaments with. It went pretty good.
Yeah, it did well.
So,
Have you seen it?
The Invader?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean,
super cool looking too, right? I mean,
yeah, dude. I think Bread and Butter, they do a really good job of like them like packaging and stuff like that, and like the designs are great.
And they're good paddles.
Yeah,
it's not like it's just for show. So
I don't see too many people play with them though. I mean, Dawson's one of like the
Yeah, I was about to say,
yeah.
I have only been to the courts one other time outside of having a buddy of mine tested as well
Yeah.
that I have seen an invader. So,
Instant respect,
like,
for sure, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think that look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can go to any pickleball facility right now. You're going to see a bunch of Yola Pro 4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Pretty
doesn't
much,
matter.
right?
Doesn't matter what facility event you go to. If
Yeah.
there is more than 2 courts of pickleball happening, you will see one.
Basically, the Jula 4 now is what the mod was like
Yes.
a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Everyone who was above like a 4 or 5 had a mod, which is crazy.
Which is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to spend the time on that because
It's a good
the whole
paddle.
story.
Obviously,
paddle, though, yeah.
obviously, right?
But going into that now, real quick, we're going to do paddle segment. So Vinny is going to, well, we can keep him here. That's
All
fine.
right.
Vinny's just going to be
Not gonna
out
speak.
of segment here for
Or make any sudden movements.
in all seriousness though. So we have been testing Pat. I know Pat just did a lot of the Gen 3s and Gen 4s. I just spent a lot of time on the Alpha Vapor.
Yeah.
He's now going to do
Looking
both
forward to
Vapors
that, yep.
as well, which is exciting. I will say, at least in my experience with the Alpha Vapor, I know you haven't hit it yet, that I prefer it over the regular Vapor a lot, actually. And it's a lot lighter, too, which is something that I've actually come to appreciate a lot because I don't know what it is. I just prefer adding the weight rather than
Yeah.
the weight being added for me.
Yeah,
And
I'd agree with that.
I don't know how else to like speak to that. So, but yeah, so we'll go into a little bit. If you just want to touch quick on what you've been testing, how that's been going.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, last couple days, I had the Apes Pulse S. Before that, they would be the newer gearboxes, correct?
The GX2s.
GX2s.
Not the power one that images have been floating around of lately, but the regular one.
Okay. And so I had like the 3, elongated, regular. Not bad. And again, like I think I've touched on this at one point. Like I was a gearbox guy back in the day, so I'm definitely familiar with their paddles. But there wasn't anything like remarkable. And again, good paddle, hit fine. But if I'm saying like one or the other, I prefer the Pulse S to that for sure. Outside of that, I think those are the only 2 that I really went with the last couple of days because I had done, the Ripples before I had done the CRBNs. And I think kind of like you were saying, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm used to what I'm used to, but I'm not like, I don't like love the Gen 4s, the Gen 3s,
Yeah.
I mean.
I look again, like I will say I do think that Vapor might change your mind on some of the
I'm open to
3s,
changing,
but like,
sure.
I'm right there with you,
Yeah.
dude. Like I think some of it might just be hype.
Yeah.
To a degree. I do think some of them are very good. I don't want to say they're all hype by all means, but I think that certain paddles are a little more hype than they are.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can do what you need to do with the Gen 2.
they're definitely breaking.
Yeah.
I've broken quite a few Gen 2s and not doing anything malicious.
Not angrily. Yeah, not
Just
angrily.
playing. I treat every paddle with great care and respect. But anyways, it's a quick paddle segment today for us. Moving it along here. We do have a fun new segment that I'm actually very excited for, which is going to be Vinny time. But first, I do want to touch into what's down the pipeline for you, Vinny.
In terms of
just anything, content. I know you got this trip to Asia. What
Yeah.
in Asia are you going, by the way?
Yeah, I'm going July 6th to Tokyo, Malaysia, and Vietnam for about 2.5 to 3 weeks.
So you're gonna live there, basically. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this will be my.
Dude, that's a lease to me.
Right.
Like,
I mean, this will be my for Japan specifically. It'll be my 4th time in 3 years, which is a lot actually. I've realized I like.
How many countries have you been to?
I don't know.
That many, I guess.
No, it's not that many. I want to say it's like realistically maybe like 7 only.
That's insane.
7, but like the thing about it is that I will repeat countries because like I like
Japan's fantastic.
Dude,
right?
Japan's unreal. You guys have to go.
You do the cherry blossoms?
I did it last year. It was cool to go during that time. Tickets were a little bit more expensive because of the cherry blossoms, and it's also a little bit more crowded. So like I'd say do it once in your life, and after that go like every other season besides cherry blossom season. Yeah. But it was beautiful.
When is cherry blossom season?
I think it's early April.
Oh yeah.
Early April, yeah.
That's when everything's blooming, growing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can go to DC too. They have cherry blossoms like there.
You got it.
But yeah.
Go to Japan if I'm gonna do that. I like DC is great and all that.
Yeah, DC's nice.
Yeah.
You got to see the real thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so that's an incredible trip right there. I know you've been doing content. I've been seeing you in this heat wave making content, which I find kind of funny.
Yeah,
Very funny.
I think the thing about
that.
I think the thing about content is that it really never sleeps. You're always like doing, or you have to keep doing.
Thinking at least.
Or
Right?
at least
You're always
exactly.
coming up with stuff.
Yeah. So like content for me at least is like 24/7 to be honest, and I think that for me the ideas come pretty naturally. I'd say that the hardest part is usually like going out there and filming, because sometimes you need people to actually do it.
I have offered to join, so I feel like that's an insult.
You'll see Pat and Dawson.
Just that out there.
I was about to say, I have one video with Vinny right now.
One more than me.
It is incredible. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And you can find that on his Instagram, I assume?
Yes, it's on Vinny's and mine. I will link Vinny Pickleball's Instagram in the bio.
Be sure to check that out, everyone.
I'm gonna link Pat's too. Pat's still developing.
Yeah, nothing there really to check out, but check it out
there in the future. And then I'll link the normal stuff I link, so my stuff as well. I'll link any other, channel stuff we have going for us. But no, I'm sorry. Continue though, Vinny. So
So the first part will be Tokyo, where I'll be doing a Volair tournament with my good friend Chris over there. He used to do tournaments for Proton overseas.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He has a really good group of guys that that he plays with, or a good group of people. And the thing about Japan right now is that finding public runs at a random park is like a really rare thing. A lot of it is you have to know someone, generally speaking, or you have to really search online. Yeah. And he's one of the few organizers of these types of pickleball stuff. So like when people visit Tokyo, they usually hit him up.
Yeah.
And play.
So he's like an ambassador basically for
pickleball in Japan. Yeah.
What's the court space like? Do they have courts?
No, they don't. So
just nets on tennis courts?
So so basically it's a tennis court at the U.S. Embassy. That's where they play.
Holy moly.
It's really cool, actually.
What?
Yeah. So one of the members of like that group that plays, he's like a U.S. I guess diplomat.
We got to get in touch with this guy.
It's really, his name's
I guess
Eric.
you're going to, yeah.
Does he have nuclear codes? Like
he should, right?
No, but he's a great player too. He's a really great guy. But no, so the U.S. Embassy has two tennis courts, and they basically just put lines down.
Yeah.
And they use Swift nets over there. So there's
Swift net's a good net.
Yeah, so they're able to set up 4 nets. So it's a good amount of play for everyone. And
so that's it though, really, in the area? As far as you know?
For outdoors, yeah.
Yeah.
More often than not, they're playing like in the gymnasiums.
Yep.
Which is like
the old days.
It's pretty eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's playing though, right?
It's playing though, yeah.
Pickleball is pickleball.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with playing in a gymnasium as long as you use the right ball.
Yeah, I think we're spoiled at this point.
If you try to go use a Dura or a Lifetime ball in there, good luck.
Yeah.
But
it's not gonna be fun.
If you use, whatever, one of the slower balls, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
that's Tokyo, and then Malaysia. I'll be doing a Asia Pickleball Summit. Speaking on a panel. So you guys are the first ones to know, actually.
You're speaking on the panel?
It's just about like social media and like pickleball, really.
This is breaking news right here.
Yeah, so you guys are actually some of the first people I told. So
there'll be like a panel, like you'll be at like a table and people will be asking you questions.
I actually have no idea how it's gonna work. I'm assuming it's like a conference where like you go up stage and like you talk about X, Y, Z with a bunch of people like this, or just one-on-one.
Nice.
For me, I don't honestly really care the format, as I'm just there to talk about pickleball and content.
Oh, you love that, man.
So that'll be fun. And then Vietnam will be to go attend there's an organization for Vietnamese Americans for pickleball.
Okay.
They were founded in California, but they're doing a like charity event in Vietnam, a tournament. So I happened to be in Asia during that week, so I'm gonna go to that also. So Andy Quach, looking forward to VAPA. That'll be fun. And so that'll be my Asia trip.
Dude, It's crazy to
Yeah.
me that you just have like a month of your life planned out.
World traveler.
I'm like over here like week by week, like, okay, I'm doing this week, this the next. He's already got like the month of July planned.
Well,
out.
tell him that he just decided on this like 2 days ago, right? I thought about going, but he's just like, hey, I'm thinking about going to Asia. I was like, oh, when? Like next week.
Yeah,
And I was like, maybe. And then I was like, you know what? That's too short notice.
yeah, because me and Pat have talked about go like Japan a lot. I told him like he had to go, and he's like, yeah, I'll go with you next time and stuff. And so I was like, so I texted Pat when I found out that I might be going. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about going. You want to go? And he was down for a little bit. And then it happened to be his girlfriend's birthday during that like time period. So that's like, yeah, that's instant no. You can't go.
Yeah.
You know, that's instant no.
Maybe if it was, but again, super short. Like this was Sunday. I think I was texting with you Thursday or Friday, and you were like, I'm going to look at the tickets Sunday.
I realistically,
what's the ticket prices right now for that? A lot, right?
I mean, it's typical for Asia. You can expect to pay maybe like 1,000 to I think
That's
like
factored-
1,400.
I thought it would be more than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was surprised when he told me. I was like, that's not bad. I could do that.
That's not bad. I mean, I think the most expensive part about it all is to get over there on the flight.
The initial flight.
Yeah, and then once you get to the country, but Japan's a little bit more expensive, but like Vietnam and Malaysia is like pretty cheap to buy food and stay at places.
Yep.
And for me, when I travel, I travel like a homeless person where like I'll stay at like $5 a night hostels and stuff like that. The nice thing about it, like especially in Japan, is like people won't take your stuff. It's like you have a place to sleep at least.
Oh my God, Vinny.
I have family in Vietnam, so I'll probably crash with them. And then Malaysia, I'm having my hotel covered, so it'll be not bad. But yeah, if it's super last minute, I don't recommend this for a lot of people. Only really possible because like I've worked in finance and tech the last couple of years, so like I saved up a good chunk.
Good.
So I've been using that to fund my content like career.
Listen, I fully commend it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's awesome.
I'm jealous.
I'm jealous, dude. I'd love to be able to go to Asia whenever in a week or two. That's insane. But yeah, all right. I think we got one more piece here, then we're gonna wrap. Let's touch quick. I know that I normally usually predominantly coach during the summer. I know you guys are coaching as well. So let's go with, we'll call it kind of our number one tip for beginners. And we'll just go around, we'll share a tip each. I think we're going to keep this segment.
I like it.
Relatively short, yeah.
I like that.
So I'll start for context here. And mine's going to be, it can be anything. It could be coaching, buying a paddle, tournaments, what to expect in a tournament. And I'm going to talk, just because I've just played too, I'm going to talk about kind of tournaments and what to expect going to a tournament. So first and foremost, you can always expect a long day. I think the shortest tournament I've ever had, and that was the one with two other teams, it was still a 3-hour tournament.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think just expect a day. Like I wouldn't schedule many things after a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless like a hot tub or something like that.
Yeah, if it's
right?
recovery, totally. And like it's time flexible, but pickleball is not a sport where like,
it's a 90-minute
from
game.
This time to this time, maybe in rec and in like a private group it is, but not in a tournament setting. So I think that's my tip, is just be time flexible, pack accordingly. And then my big thing with packing is pack one of everything extra minimum. So like if I think I'm going to go through 2 shirts, I pack 3 shirts. 2 socks, 3 socks, something like that. So that's what I'll say. Vinny?
I'd say for anyone beginning their pickleball journey, I'd say, try to play against as many different people as you can. And I honestly think it is a hot take, but one of the best ways to learn how to play is to play a bunch of different parks. They might hate you at first, but that's the best way to learn, because you'll like definitely feel the pressure. It's definitely not for everyone, but that's how I did it, and I got like decently okay.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely play against all different types of people at all different types of places.
Listen, I know Vinny makes a lot of funny jokes, and we mess around with him a bunch. He is actually a good pickleball.
Yeah,
in all seriousness.
That would be really nice.
You're better than that recent video, though.
Like, he will never say he is, but he's a 4.0 plus pickleball.
We're both saying that he is a pretty good player.
And look, Pat and I have been around for a long time. We've seen a lot of different pickleball levels. Like, if we're saying it, I feel like that's a pretty good benchmarker.
Yeah. And just get the legs in the shot. I mean,
yeah,
this guy
he's
is
got- he's
built
got
for
trick shots.
pickleball. You know what I mean?
Just know it's all AI. My gameplay is all AI. So what
It's
you're
working.
seeing is not real.
It's working.
You Pat?
All right, so tip. I mean, I'm just gonna go with like playing wise. I like the way you guys went with it, but one of the biggest things I see of people that are starting out, there's all types of things I could go into, but something just very simple. Just get your feet set. Like just your footwork. I use this quote all the time. I think it's from him. Like I'm pretty sure, like Ben Johns at one point said, like the most important thing in this game to him is his feet, like his footwork. Like if your feet aren't set, if you're moving through the ball, if you're not open, closed, whatever, you're not going to hit a good shot. Like just get your feet set, take your time. Like try to slow things down. I see everybody, they're just in a rush, just smacking the ball, just reacting, right? If I have my feet set, I can be a little more proactive instead of reactive. I think if you start doing those things the right way, things slow down and you're able to make better choices, better shots. So,
All right, gents. I think that's all we have, unless you guys got anything else.
No, that was really fun, guys.